My name is Rich. I'm with Theories of Creation Ministries, and this is my first variation on message about the Big Bang Theory. First off, I am a sinner saved by grace. If anyone asks me what my qualifications are, that is the only one that matters. This presentation is on the Big Bang Theory, why I believe it's not possible. If we take a deep dive into physics, it will show you that it is impossible for the universe to expand from a singularity. The only explanation is that space-time, matter, and energy and gravity were placed into motion by an external force. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Physics shows that Genesis 1:1 is the only explanation. So what is the Big Bang Theory? The Big Bang Theory stands as the most widely accepted explanation for the origin of the universe. According to this theory, the universe began as an infinitely small, hot, and dense point which rapidly expanded and continued to stretch over 13.7 billion years. This initial period of rapid inflation set the stage for the vast and still growing cosmos we observe today. So how do they get that theory? In a nutshell, the universe is observed to be expanding. Scientists look at the stars and observe that they are moving away. They follow that motion backwards through time and assume it all came from a single point in space. Here's a diagram showing how they think everything was put together over a long period of time. On the left, you will see that everything started from one single spot and then expanded outwards, then gradually became the universe we observe today. Here's another diagram. Some quantum fluctuations happened, and that caused the universe to begin expanding. According to this model, quantum fluctuations initiated the rapid expansion. What are quantum fluctuations? Quantum fluctuations are temporary, random changes in energy at a specific point in space, arising from the fundamental uncertainty in quantum mechanics. This is the most intellectual explanation for we don't know how it happens that I've ever heard, arising from the fundamental uncertainty in quantum mechanics. This means that even in seemingly empty space, particles can briefly pop into existence and then disappear due to energy fluctuations. Let's ask the question, do quantum fluctuations prove that the universe can create itself? Seems like a good assumption. If we can observe energy coming into existence, then we can assume the universe can create itself. So do quantum fluctuations prove that the universe can create itself? No, because it is happening in an already existing universe. The universe is here. Quantum fluctuations are one of the many phenomena we see within space-time. How can quantum fluctuations happen if the universe doesn't exist yet? This does not prove that the universe can create itself. What is the Big Bang Theory? So one of the big points in it is the universe began as an infinitely small, hot, and dense point, and it rapidly expanded. Here's an artist's representation of a black hole. A black hole is the only somewhat observable singularity in the universe. This is the first picture ever taken of a black hole. Why is it called a black hole? It's assumed it's a very, very dense body with so much matter that light cannot escape it. If light cannot escape it, we cannot observe what's inside. The way our eyes work is they pick up on the light that is being reflected off of matter, then our brain registers the information and we see the world around us. If light cannot escape a black hole for us to see, then we can't see what's inside it. More on that later. Stephen Hawking once said, "Because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing. It is why the universe exists. It is why we exist. It is not necessary to invoke God to light the blue touch paper and set the universe going." That's a pretty bold statement. I asked Google this question while I was researching the topic. Why does gravity exist? Gravity exists because of the fundamental property of mass bending spacetime. This curvature of spacetime is what we perceive as the force of gravity, causing objects with mass to be attracted to one another. While we know what gravity does and how it behaves, the fundamental why it exists remains a deep mystery in physics. What is gravity? No one knows for sure. Like a good friend of mine, Dr. Kent Hovind, says, "Give me a jar of gravity and paint it red." However, we know what it does. Gravity is something that pulls matter and energy toward each other while warping the fabric of space-time in the process. The best guess is that gravity is space-time trying to return to its normal position. It acts like water returning to the center of a pool after you displace it with a beach ball. So take a small pool, take a beach ball, push it in it, it will displace the water. And that water is wanting to return to that void of the beach ball. On top of that, you add in the effects of attracting magnetism and you will get an understanding of how it works. Gravity is attracted by the inverse square law. The closer the objects get together, the stronger the attracting force is between them. Gravity is a force. In simplest terms, a force is a reaction. Something had to initiate the force to take place. That initiation is matter. How can any force create anything that is needed to exist to cause itself to happen? That's like saying I can whistle without having lungs to blow air through my lips. Nowhere in what we observe do we see that gravity or the law of gravity can create anything. The first law of thermodynamics says that energy cannot be created or destroyed. The same is true for matter, gravity, space, and time. This seems like one of those prove me wrong theories because you can't go back in time to observe the introduction of the universe. What we can observe is that gravity cannot exist independently because all gravity we can measure is based on the overall mass of the body it is pulling towards. Back in the 60s, when NASA was planning on landing on the moon, they sent up these two satellites. It's called the Gravity Recovery and Interior Laboratory, or GRAIL. Two satellites ebb and flow. The mission involved them flying in tandem around the moon. By precisely measuring the distance between these two satellites, scientists could detect subtle variations in the moon's gravitational pull. As they are orbiting around at a specific distance apart from each other, if one of them started pulling farther away from the other, then they would see gravitational fluctuations. By doing this, NASA figured out variations in the moon's gravity field are caused by differences in the density of materials both on and beneath the surface. This is one way NASA proved that gravity is based on the density or overall mass of the planetary body. By the way, you are made of mass and therefore you generate your own gravitational field. some more than others, but you can't see your effects here on Earth because the gravity of the Earth is too strong. But if you went far out into space, far enough from any planetary mass where you were barely affected by any external gravitational force, and released a marble at arm's length, the gravitational pull of your body would attract the marble back to you. Pretty neat. So ebb and flow showed us that gravity is part of a symbiotic relationship to matter. Neither matter or gravity can exist independently of one another. So what you have is a big chicken and the egg problem. What came first? The gravity to make the matter, or the matter to make the gravity? Both had to come into existence at the same time. The singularity said to exist at the beginning of the universe cannot place itself into existence because of gravity. I asked a physics major once, where did the matter come from to form the singularity? He said they didn't know. He also said that the James Webb Telescope just discovered a region in space where the laws of physics were different. I'm sorry, sir. The laws of physics don't change just because they're inconvenient for your self-creating universe theory. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. The same is true for matter, gravity, and space. This question brings up the theory that maybe the universe is infinite. I don't think it is, because the universe is in motion and something had to put it into motion. So say you're in a canoe, right? You're sitting on a lake, no winds, it's very calm. You want to start rowing to shore, or you want to start moving to shore. So you take your oar out and you start paddling. The reaction of paddling is making the canoe move forward closer to the shoreline. The canoe didn't move itself. Something had to happen in order to move the canoe. Same goes for the universe. The entire universe is in motion, and it cannot go into motion all by itself. I'm working on another lesson that goes into more detail of that. So keep an eye out for that to come soon. Let's talk about escape velocity. By the way, first off, I'm in complete denial that the Delta IV Heavy is retired. It's one of the coolest rockets ever made. It was the only rocket to catch itself on fire when it left the launch pad. So, escape velocity is very important in understanding that the universe cannot expand from a singularity. Escape velocity is the minimum velocity needed for any object to escape a relative gravity well. I have two explanations of how escape velocity works because it is that important. First off, you take a baseball or a rock or something, you throw it up in the air. That rock is going to leave your hand and it's going to immediately begin slowing down because of the pull of gravity. Eventually it will stop and then it will fall back to the earth. So you take that same rock and you throw it up even harder. It is going to take longer for gravity to slow it down because of its velocity. And then it's going to pull it back down and it's going to crash into the earth. So if we were to launch a rocket from Earth and it accelerates to any velocity under 25,000 miles an hour, roughly, eventually the Earth's gravity will slow it down and pull it back to Earth. So here's an animation that I put together really quick to kind of go into a little more detail so you can understand that. It's a quick mock-up of the SLS rocket. So keep an eye on the blue arch. That line is going to represent our trajectory. If you don't know what the trajectory is, it is the path given to an object by direction and force. The faster we accelerate, the larger our trajectory gets. You can see the trajectory keeps getting higher and higher. If we shut off our engines, we will follow that path. Watch the little gray satellite symbol. You will see that it followed that exact path. And it's going to come down and hit the atmosphere at a ballistic trajectory and destroy itself just for fun. Okay, let's do one more launch. This time we are going to go for escape velocity. Again, keep an eye on the blue line. Now I sped this animation up so you wouldn't have to sit here for 8 to 10 minutes to watch this play out. The faster we accelerate, the farther our velocity will carry us. Ditch the booster and continue with the second stage. So the whole time, gravity is pulling back on us, but we are accelerating, and our trajectory is going to take us farther and farther from Earth. If we were to shut it off now, we'd zip around and land back in the Atlantic Ocean. Watch the blue arch passing the altitude of the moon. Bam. Did you see that? Our velocity took us to a point where our trajectory will no longer be slowed down by the gravity of the Earth, and by doing so we will escape the gravity well. Now this specific satellite will sit there and orbit around the sun, but we were able to put enough energy into that satellite to escape the gravitational pull of the Earth. That's a basic explanation of what escape velocity is. Okay. So again, if we accelerate more than 25,000 miles an hour at the surface of the Earth, the rocket will leave Earth's gravity altogether. These are a few examples of some planetary bodies in the solar system from NASA's website. Escape velocity of the Earth exactly is 25,022.37 miles an hour. The escape velocity of the moon is about 5,300 miles per hour. By the way, ever wonder why there's a face in the moon? It's hard to see from a zoomed in photo, but if you look at it with your own eyes while you're standing outside, some say that they see a face in the moon. I believe it's to remind mankind that someone is looking out for them. To me, it looks like a face with a breath coming out of its mouth, like the spoken word of God. It even has a third eye, which is your conscious mind. Okay, here's Mars, and its escape velocity is roughly 11,200 miles an hour. Escape velocity of Jupiter, getting to a much larger mass now, and that escape velocity is 133,000 miles an hour. Let's look at our own star. Escape velocity of it is just under 1.4 million miles an hour. It's a lot of energy and a really large gravity well. These examples show that escape velocity is based on the overall mass of the planetary body. So what is the escape velocity of a singularity? Escape velocity alone shows that the universe cannot expand from a singularity. Here's why. I asked Google, what is the estimate of the total number of stars in the universe? By the way, we can figure this whole thing out with big numbers and basic math. The current estimate for the number of stars in the observable universe is around 2 trillion galaxies, each containing roughly 100 to 400 billion stars, leading to a total estimate of around 200 billion trillion stars, according to the Little Passports and World Atlas. All right, let's estimate this. 200 billion trillion stars. That's 23 zeros. Using our star as a good reference point, I mean, there are many larger stars and there are many smaller, so it's a good starting place. So, escape velocity of our sun is 1,381,710 miles an hour. Take that number, multiply it by 2, you get 2,763,420. Add 23 zeros to that number. So you take that really big number, divide it by the speed of light in miles per hour, 671 million miles an hour, and you get that really big number right there. So you would need a velocity of 412 quintillion times faster than the speed of light to escape the supposed singularity at the beginning of the universe. That's just the estimated stars in the universe, what we've been able to observe. We don't know how many are out there. Every time we build a bigger telescope, we're going to discover more. So that number is just going to grow. And that doesn't include planets, moons, asteroid, comets, or other celestial objects with mass. If you include that, you would have a much larger number. That big number is the estimated velocity needed for a planetary body containing the mass of all of the estimated stars in the universe. Did I mention that the universe has a maximum velocity of 670 million? That is the speed of light in a vacuum. Nothing with mass can exceed that velocity. If the maximum velocity of the universe is the speed of light, and the velocity needed to expand from a gravity well that size is trillions of times greater than that, then that means the universe can't expand from a singularity. I've heard many arguments, one of which is that it was space that expanded. Space would still be pulled by gravity. Another one was the speed of light was faster in the beginning, so the laws of physics were different in the first moments of the universe, so that the theory would make sense. Here's another one. Gravity didn't exist until after the universe expanded. So matter didn't exist either until the universe expanded itself into existence. Don't work. I'm sorry. Escape velocity, the speed of light, which is the fastest velocity in the universe, and the overall mass of the singularity shows that the Big Bang Theory isn't possible. The universe cannot expand from a singularity. It is not possible. Here's another diagram. It says dark energy accelerated expansion. So everything started expanding, and then dark energy took over and accelerated the expansion. So it expanded faster than the universe would allow, and then it accelerated even faster than that. I'm sorry. That model doesn't work either. The only way the universe can exist is that something put it into place and into motion at the same time. The universe cannot create itself. The universe cannot put itself into motion. Psalms 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Genesis 1:1. John 1, verse 3 says, all things were made by him, and without him nothing was made. Romans 1:20, for since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen. What are those invisible attributes? The laws of physics. The universe cannot place itself into existence. Being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. There is no excuse. We try to make one. We try to find something that fundamentally sounds amazing, but we leave God out of the equation. That's all right. We've got this ourselves. How is that working out for you? We sinned in the beginning, and look at all the things that are going on with this world. God had an original plan, and death wasn't part of that plan. But because death is around, God had to make the ultimate sacrifice so we can be with him. This life is temporary. I'm in my 40s, but it seems like 5 minutes ago I was in high school. Went by like that. What's it going to be like in another 5 minutes? This life is probably going to be gone. The Bible says that the spirit is youthful and the flesh degenerates or deteriorates. I don't remember exactly what it says, but basically that shows that this conscious presence behind your eyeballs is too great of a thing to just vanish after 120 years. If it took 13.8 billion years for consciousness to evolve, why does it only last 120 years? Wouldn't the first thing it figure out is how not to die? John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. I don't know. Life is pretty cool. It's not always the best, but just the ability to exist, to talk, to interact, to think. I want that to last forever. God can't have sin in his presence, so he will separate sin as far away from him as he can. He calls that casting somebody into hell. Being away from the presence of God, that's not an existence I want. I want to live forever, and the only way to do that is through the mediator, Jesus Christ. God bless you guys. If this message means anything to you, I'm available to speak as a guest speaker at your church. Feel free to reach out in the comments with any questions you might have. If you want to get a hold of me to speak at your ministry, reach me at theoriesofcreation@gmail.com. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day.